Welcome to Educating Geeks, the podcast where friends help friends discover new passions. In the studio today we have
Bree, Sarah, Cassie,
Megan,
and I'm Alice. Today we're educating Cassie on the Doctor Who Christmas specials. And we are going to attempt during the show to not spend too much time falling into talking about the show outside of the Christmas episodes, even though we've all already acknowledged that that is going to be completely impossible to do altogether.
Not for me.
because she hasn't seen it.
But yes, I can understand how that'd be hard.
So I think everyone's really curious to know a couple of things, Cassie. One, why did you never watch the show before? A typical thing that we ask here. And two, was it a weird way or a good way to be introduced to the Doctor Who
Experience.
craziness? Yes, the Doctor Who experience.
Yeah, so it just seemed very, very silly and very zany. I mean, it looked fun, and certainly in my Stargate days, that was on my radar because there were fans of both. But it just didn't seem like my thing. It just didn't seem like my style, and I knew that there were plenty of people who loved it, but I just wasn't sure. And it's going to sound horrible, but Christopher Eccleston, he just seemed so angry in the art that I would see, and I was like, he just seems mad. And I know that his character was just intense.
Yeah. The grumpy Doctor.
The grumpy Doctor.
Yeah.
So that's, but part of it was just like, he just seems so angry. And I'm sure there's reasons for that,
Yes,
for his
yes.
character to be so angry, but that was just all those things combined. I was like, I'll pass. And then, just out of habit, I tend to avoid things that are super hyped. So I think by the time David Tennant came along, it was just super hyped. Everyone talked about
That's
it.
because he's awesome.
Exactly. He's quite awesome, especially when he's bespectacled. He's quite awesome. But yeah, so I just kind of avoided it. Yes, we will squee when we talk about him. But yeah, so I have to say, I was aware of, I'm aware of all the companions, and some, I know some people love Rory, some people love Donna.
It's Donna.
Donna, yeah. And then, I think, I was aware of, especially in the later seasons, Amy and Rory and their significance to other plot lines and things. But, yeah, I just, for the Christmas special, I felt like I was kind of dropped into transition. So for a Christmas Invasion, I'm dropped in
transition is the word, because as
Yeah.
I was watching them, I was like, oh, this might not have been the best decision.
It was like,
because it's
yeah.
like the biggest point of, we picked like, there are some really big transitions going on in
Totally.
these Doctor Who specials.
whether it's the
Well,
Doctor or companions.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's either, if you look at them, how they're structured, they're either the season opener
Yep.
and or the season closer.
Right.
For
Yeah.
almost, I think for all of them, actually. So
Yeah.
So you always either have a doctor coming in and out or a companion coming in or
Yes.
out, or like
Yeah.
both. Something
Yes.
weird
Yeah.
happening every time.
And they would show, so at the end of the Christmas special, at least for Hulu Plus, they would show, what's coming, which is really cool because they show the whole season in, a minute. And I'd be like, oh, that looks interesting. That's cool. Oh, next episode a year later. Like, that whole storyline that they just showcased, completely gone. So it was a bit weird. I don't know. It was, I felt like I was left floundering in some cases. There were key points, significant issues going on with the Doctor, or issues going on with companions or former companions. And so there'd be like these poignant moments where they would, push in on the Doctor. I'm like, I don't know what that means. I know he's sad.
So I know, Bree, one of the things that you had mentioned was that the Christmas specials do have something very much to do with, again, here we go, talking about the rest of the show, about his emotional state, or very much get intensified or magnified, or I don't know. How would you describe it?
It's almost like a summing up of where he is in his life. It's his like internal issues put out there on Christmas. The most cheerful of holidays. He's always going through some really intense shit. Let's be real. And they just put it all out there on the line and make every single Christmas a really sad Christmas because the Doctor is a really sad person.
Mm-hmm.
There are
Even
some
with the
really
Matt
sad-
Smith ones. He's still a really sad person.
I feel like there was more hope in the Matt Smith ones than in the others.
Some
The
of
death
them.
toll went significantly down.
I'm like, all these people dying on Christmas. Happy Christmas, Britain! Like, yay! We're all dead. And people would just die in unnecessary deaths. Like, people would just get obliterated, and then 10 minutes later, well, you know, they didn't have to die.
Well,
They
I
didn't
wonder
have to
if they'll keep with that in that they're always London. There's always the joke about whether or not it's really going to snow. You know,
man.
how long they can play that out.
Right. Well, it helps that I think the Matt Smith, the 11th Doctor versions, they all seem to go back in time, except, no, I guess all three of them went back in time. So there was snow,
Yes.
and it was just a different time period, whereas all the David Tennant ones were in present day.
Modern Britain.
With the exception of the next Doctor.
Anyway,
All right, getting ahead of ourselves here.
yeah. So I would like to know just of the two, right? So for those of you who don't know, the current family of Christmas specials only cover Tennant and Smith. They started with Tennant and have continued on since there, but there's no Eccleston.
No Ninth Doctor Christmas specials, which is actually kind of sad. There's this. Everyone has a favorite Doctor, right? Everyone has a favorite Doctor,
Yes.
but everyone also has their first Doctor,
Mhm.
which for me are two different people. And I have a very Eccleston, the Ninth Doctor, was my first Doctor, and there's something about him that nobody else has. But my favorite is David Tennant's the 10th Doctor, and so for me they're very. I love them very much for very different reasons. And not to say that Matt Smith isn't brilliant.
Yeah.
Remember that you said that.
I know.
Because we'll circle back to that.
So that's what I'm curious to know. Of the two doctors available to you, and we could also stay who your first doctor was if so it'll be interesting for you, right? And then just between Tennant and Smith, which of those two, given the whole show, not just these, I'm going to say which is your favorite. So for me, my first doctor is the fourth Doctor, and my favorite Doctor is David Tennant.
How did you watch the Fourth Doctor?
On PBS.
PBS.
Back
Very
when,
cool.
Yeah.
Awesome. Wish they still did that.
He's a lot of people. Is that Tom Barker?
Tom Baker.
Tom Baker. Yeah.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people who he is their favorite, including my friend Rebecca. She loves him.
I
Yeah.
would have to say that I have two first doctors because I was very young when my dad, spending the weekend at my dad's, and we just have PBS on all day, and I'd watch Doctor Who, and I only really remember only seeing one episode vividly, but I'm sure I watched more than that. So I would have to say my first Doctor is technically Tom Baker, but I feel like I bonded with Christopher Eccleston as my first Doctor, but David Tennant is my favorite Doctor. But I also love Matt Smith because he's just kind of jolly
He's so
and fast
zany.
talking, and I can go on for hours and hours about why I like the Matt Smith Doctors better than the David Tennant Doctors, and then spend another couple of hours like saying the reverse about just
Yeah.
for different reasons. Just and like we were talking about earlier, if you asked me, you have 6 cats, Sarah, which one is your favorite? I would be like, well, Miha's my favorite fluffy one, but Clorox is my favorite cuddly one, and Helen is my favorite calico one. I can't choose because they all bring something different to the table.
Yes, but ultimately, would you rather have Fluffy or would you rather have Cuddly? If you could only have one, which would it be?
Death.
I can't.
Anyway, so Bree, how about you?
Eccleston was my first Doctor, and I tell everybody to skip the first season.
Aww.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm getting sorry. Sorry, guys.
Sad faces.
Sorry.
You're my mummy. Come on.
I say go back and see them. Like, don't let
Yeah,
them be your
you can skip
introduction
it.
to the series, but
And
don't.
go back.
Yeah, go, because there's some, especially that. Anyway.
Between Tennant and Smith.
Smith.
Okay.
Easy for me. Easy choice. He's zany, but he's also very dark, and I like that. Whereas Tennant was sometimes just hard for me to follow as a character.
Yeah,
I
fair.
could give you that.
How about you?
First Doctor, I saw clips on Sci-Fi when it aired Eccleston's run, but that I don't feel like that counts. I actually saw that very powerful scene of the switch between the 10th and the 11th Doctor. I just saw it on YouTube once.
Yeah.
And again, thought it was really cool, a really cool way to do it. So technically my first Doctor actually seeing like a whole episode would be David Tennant. Favorite Doctor is Matt Smith. And it's funny because I avoided the show because I thought it was zany. And he's the zaniest of them all.
Yeah, he is.
But he's just so fun. And I don't know, I love David Tennant because he's very, attractive to look at, and he's cute, and he's or something, there's
Bree's rolling her eyes.
I mean, he's cute. I like David Tennant's and how he portrayed the Doctor, and he did portray the Doctor, I felt, as kooky as he could be from the few episodes I saw. I felt like he was very more level, far more level as the Doctor than Matt Smith, who is like up and down, dark to light. But I just, the Christmas specials, and part of that is probably the writing too, the Christmas specials that I watched with Matt Smith I found far more enjoyable, far more Christmas-like.
Yeah, I think they definitely over time sort of developed, and then when Moffat got his hands on it, because if I'm just going to go with the writing, I would go with the Moffat episodes over the Russell T. Davies episodes.
Yeah.
Christmas or overall?
Overall, for me.
I would have to think about that longer to say overall, but for these episodes, for the Christmas specials, I think the Moffat ones are better structured. Mm-hmm. All right, companions who are really non-companions, right? Because that's one of the things with these Christmas specials, they often don't have the regular folks in them.
In the episodes that we watched, the only characters that were actually companions at the time of the episode were Rory and Amy.
Rose.
Oh, I keep forgetting about that episode.
Which one's Rose?
That's because. No.
Which one's Rose? What?
Christmas Invasion.
The first one.
Rose.
Yeah, Rose.
And Rory and Amy were very peripheral in their Christmas special.
They very much were, because they were on their honeymoon.
That was my mistake earlier. I said I didn't like Rory. I meant I didn't like Rose. I like Rory.
Because he's Rory.
He. That's a he, by the way.
Yes, Rory.
But he wasn't in much. They were kind of sidelined.
Oh my gosh, at one point they get him all greaser looking and he has this adorable haircut. I'm sorry, tangent.
Rory's one of my favorites. He's my second favorite companion.
Devin hates him because he's jealous that he got to marry Amy and Devin didn't. So Devin saw him as a rival and hated him.
Oh, a completely logical response.
I know. I'm just like, really?
So for the
That's why I hate Sharae on Stargate.
So, Bree, your favorite and your least favorite non-companion.
My favorite non-companion is Wilfred.
Yes.
Obviously. He's so adorable and well-meaning and just like gung-ho, and he's like, I'm going to stay here for Christmas. I don't care what happens. And my least favorite was on the episode with the Titanic, that Billy Zane imposter.
But for me, I wouldn't count him as a companion. No. I would only count Astrid as the companion for that one.
It was difficult for me to tell in that one because like he had just 10 people who stayed with him the entire episode. Yeah,
but that companion-like connection really was with Astrid. He was
my least favorite companion isn't in the Christmas episode.
No. So that's what I'm saying. For these episodes of the non-companion companions, so it would be like Donna, Astrid, the Doctor and Rosita, Donna's granddad, right?
What was Rose's boyfriend's name again? Mickey.
Yeah, see, I wouldn't count him as a companion in these episodes.
You could count these as characters you don't like.
I wouldn't. But yeah, that's fine. I'm being too picky. I'm being OCD about it.
At that point.
Well,
I agree.
He was a non-companion in that episode because he was also in the whole thing.
True.
Yeah.
He was basically like, since the Doctor was asleep for most of it, he was like Rose's companion.
So very, very well said.
Nice.
How about you, Sarah?
My favorite non-companion, I didn't really, I would have to say Wilfred too. The other ones, Claire is my favorite companion in these episodes, and she's not technically the companion, is she?
Yeah, I would count her because she's not really the companion at that point, right?
Yeah.
So I would count her as a non-companion
because she's all like spunky and resourceful and like
Yes.
a good equal, not somebody that complements him by bringing something to the table that he doesn't have, but just a good equal to him.
Can I just say I'm just like so disappointed that they decided not to make that Clara his companion in the overall series, because I wanted that Clara to be his companion.
I haven't seen the new episodes, but I did like her in that episode, even though she was kind of like magical.
Yeah.
I still liked her.
Even though she is magical.
How about you?
It's interesting that you say that.
Yeah, Wilfred for sure, my favorite. He's
He's just so awesome.
so awesome.
Yeah.
I'm kind of cheating a little bit. Jackson Lake I'm counting as a non-companion companion. Because he was like, because his little prostitute friend didn't count. And
Is that the next Doctor?
yes, the episode I did.
Oh,
Like
the
you
government
called her
doctor?
his little prostitute friend.
Well, that's how she
No,
was.
I did.
That's how she was treated, and that's how she looked. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I didn't like her hair.
So
I thought it was cheap.
We're talking about the next
Rosita.
daughter and Rosita.
Rosita.
Wow.
Rosita was a
So interesting.
Rosita was fine, but she wasn't really developed. I don't know.
So what are some people's what's like? Give me a favorite moment from name the episode, obviously, and then give a favorite bit or a favorite moment from one of those episodes.
The End of Time, Part 2, when the Doctor is talking to Wilfred on the spaceship, and he says, "We must look like insects to you." And he says, "I think you look like giants." It makes me cry every time.
So we'll skip quickly. We'll skip to
Because I brought it up.
because we brought it up. For what episodes, if any, did you cry, Megan?
I cried at End of Time Part 2, A Christmas Carol, and The Doctor, the Widow, and the Wardrobe. So Stephen Moffat can make me cry, that bastard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Damn it.
So for me, it's End of Time Part 1 and Part 2.
You cry at Part 1? What part? Oh, when
Pretty
Monica
much-
shows up. It makes me
Well,
cry.
pretty much any time where Wilford, in the scene in the restaurant. How can you not cry when David Tennant is crying, talking to
that's
Wilford?
true.
Oh my God.
You know why?
sad.
You
I
know
was
why you
bawling.
can't cry? Because you
don't-
didn't see what happened.
Oh, right, because you're like, I get it. So, but yes, Part 1 and Part 2, A Christmas Carol, absolutely. The Doctor, the Widow, and the Wardrobe.
I only cried when he was at the last part of Part 2 of
The End of Time.
the goodbyes, and then all of the different goodbyes. Each one was like a new like upwelling of emotion.
Yeah.
And then but the part that just killed me dead was when the Doctor explained how he got the money to pay for the lottery ticket that he gave to Donna as a
Oh
wedding
my
present.
God, I know.
Yeah. So maybe I should clarify. So I cried during the End of Time Part 1. I bawled my eyes
bawled.
out
End
at
of
the
Time
end
Part
of Part 2.
Yeah, all of the rest of them, it was like, this is kind of sad.
Oh,
But at the End of Time Part 2, it's like, oh my God!
yeah.
I-
Uncontrolled
It's
sobbing.
all over now!
I have to admit that if I had had the experience you guys had, I would have. Because
You
there
would
was
have been bawling.
because the moment when he says, "I don't want to go," or
You're just like,
it's like I was like, "Oh, I'm sorry, but you do."
I don't want you to go either. Anyway, Brie.
Giving me goosebumps.
A Christmas Carol. I know it's too soon to be saying this because we haven't brought it up yet, but my favorite.
It's your favorite. Okay.
It's my favorite, so I teared up a little bit at that one. The End of Time, obviously. I was just like, well, if you're gonna punch me in the emotions, fine. And then this is kind of surprising to me, but I was watching the Christmas Invasion today, and when the
cry?
people were walking out of their house and not responding to their, oh my God, I'm tearing up right now.
You are.
Not responding to their loved ones, and there was a wife shaking her husband. She was like, talk to me. I was like, yeah, so don't look at me right now.
It's interesting though how that resonated with you because that is a terrifying
It is.
scenario.
That is one of the more terrifying things that happens in all of the Christmas specials, I think.
I agree.
Just to have your loved ones just march out the door.
Oh my God, the
I would
emotion.
be flipping out.
Yeah.
These people were extras, and just like the amount they must have worked with them to get them that worked up, the emotion in their voices, I was just like, oh my God. So it was very sad.
My favorite moment was the transition between the Doctors for sure. It was just amazing to me that and I had been really jaded up to this point because I just wasn't feeling the specials. And then to go from this moment, and not just the goodbyes, but even when he was really upset, kind of talking himself into saving Wilfred from the machine, to go from pretty much like 5 to 10 minutes of sadness, and then like in a flash is Matt Smith grabbing his hair, like just being hilarious. And I mean, like, what a roller coaster for anyone who loved Doctor Who and anyone who watched that live in the UK. I mean, it's like you're like just floored on Christmas Day, favorite Doctor or whatever, and then it's like Matt Smith comes in and just
Geronimo!
Catchphrase right off the bat.
Yeah, and then that's it. They just cut, and that's it. The end. And so I thought that was a good scene, a very powerful scene for a Doctor that was so beloved.
How about you, Sarah? What you got?
I just really liked a lot of the little moments. My favorite one, and I think that I have adopted this into my speech, was when he was showing the family around when they came to go visit for the in the Doctor, the Widow, and the Wardrobe, the house that they went to go visit, and he was showing them around, and he was showing off how he motorized the chairs, and he goes, I know. And then here's a hot tap, here's a cold tap, and here's a lemonade tap. I know. They're not even really aghast or impressed or anything about it, but he is so impressed with himself. He's like, I know.
That's a good moment. I actually rewound that entire sequence. Yeah. Because it was just so fun.
I did too.
So here's your mom's room, standard, adult, boring, slam.
Well, and then I liked that. I liked the part also in that one where he was showing the psychic paper to the little boy, and he was like, oh no, it wasn't that one. He was doing the same thing. He's like, oh, I'm your babysitter. I'm your babysitter.
That was in A Christmas Carol, and it just says squiggles.
Yes. Yeah. All I see is squiggles. Oh, finally, a lie too big.
Yes. He was just great with those lines.
Well, and that's one of the things that I like about the way they handle the different Doctors is like, the 9th Doctor, he was like the man with that psychic paper. Every Doctor uses his tools differently. Mm-hmm. And Matt Smith's Doctor always has a hard time with the psychic paper. Like, every time he brings it out, it, like, doesn't work.
Yeah, you're right.
Oh, how about you?
My favorite was in A Christmas Carol. I really anticipated the scene where Kazran and Abigail see each other and they're almost the same age. Like, I was really anticipating that, and then when he opens up the door and she sees him, she's like, Kazran. And you're just like, you're gonna be in love.
I thought that was kind of cheap of her. Like, the whole time she's like, Doctor! And, chopped liver over here. Every time, Doctor! And then finally he's attractive and not spotty, and she's like, oh, hello.
Finally,
he was
of
like a child before. That's not cheap of her. He was a child. And she's like, what a nice little boy. And all of a sudden, like,
he's a man.
Hey.
Or almost a man.
Don't you? I don't know. When I see, like, kids, usually I make a point to... I'm better with adults, so I acknowledge the adults. But I would be like... Yeah. Hi, like I would make a special point. Hi, so and so. I felt like that was cheap. I was mad on his behalf that he was getting ignored until he was finally.
Oh, I wasn't, because during the montage, she was spending all of his time hanging out with him, having a grand old time.
Yeah, they were having fun together.
So, how about villains?
Can I tell you that I hated the Rachnos Queen?
Oh, me too.
She sounded like she had the braces.
Yeah.
But her makeup was so cool.
Oh my god, the eyes on her head.
Yeah.
They were good.
I mean, the character is terrible.
Yeah.
Just terrible.
Imagine
and she liked puns.
Yes, and she
like,
puns.
what the fuck?
What the fuck, indeed. What have I brought myself into? Yeah.
But yeah, her costume, her makeup was outstanding. And that actress really just went into the part, even though, like, it was terrible.
Oh, no.
You gotta give her props for that.
I felt like it was campy, but
She
not
can't
the
control the
kind
camp.
No, but it wasn't the kind of self-conscious campy that you can enjoy. It was just the self-conscious, or it was the oblivious campy where you just feel really embarrassed for the actor
Whoever's having
and
to do it,
whoever.
yeah.
And
Yeah.
Donna's
Yeah.
husband's acting sucked too.
Yes.
Yeah, he was not.
did.
He
It
was
not very
awful.
good,
He was a weasel.
yeah.
That was Mickey, right?
No.
Yeah.
No.
No, that's what
That's
Mickey.
not.
Oops, that was racist.
Are you mixing up your
That's
black
the
I
other
was
black
mixing
guy,
up the
like,
black
dude.
people. In my defense, I saw them once.
Oh god.
Oh, yeah.
So
He was mean.
but
I did
was
not
there a
like
villain
him.
who you loved to hate that you really enjoyed as a villain?
Dr. Simeon.
That Billy Zane imposter.
No.
No.
I wanted to
Not
punch him.
really.
Really, I love Miss Hartigan from The Next Doctor.
Yeah, actually,
love
she's
her.
a pretty good villain.
I absolutely loved her.
I thought that was an interesting, bringing back the conversation to how the governor doctor treated Rosita kind of as a subservient, woman. The whole thing was a commentary on the treatment of women, and I did like how at least there was a woman who was like, "Oh, I'm
gonna do what I want."
Oh yeah, she's
smart
going to
lady.
manipulate. She has some great lines. She says at the cemetery scene, she says to all the men, she says, "You've walked past me so many times, all you good men of charities, never asking my name." Mm-hmm. And then later when the doctor is attacking her, is when she's in
In the giant
cyber
robot.
emperor or whatever. She says to the doctor, she says, "Just another man come to exert himself against me in the night."
yeah."
Right? She has
Dark.
some great lines.
Damn.
Lady.
Yeah. It is a commentary very much on
And
the
it's-
position of women in Victorian England.
Yeah, well,
Right.
and women in general, because we still have this dialogue about strong female characters, and then somebody else, I don't remember who, we should probably post a link to it, but then somebody else comes along and writes, what about the, weak female characters? We have so many objectified female characters that we feel like we need to counter that with strong female characters. And now,
I think more so strongly written female characters.
yeah. So we
So the
Yeah.
argument is often, if you're struggling to have cachet in the pop culture, then you're struggling to find traction where other people already sit. So you don't care if you see a weak male character, right? Because you see all kinds of male characters because they own the space, right?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So as for female characters, you're trying to, how can I get into the space, right? So true equality means that you can see weak female characters and strong female characters and whatever,
and
but it
strong
doesn't
female
change.
villains
Absolutely.
that we love.
But, I stand by the fact that we women are really fucking hard to please, right? So,
We are.
right? So we're going
No.
to bitch and moan about having weak female characters, and then we're going to have some strong female characters. And they're gonna be like, but now we have strong female characters. Why don't we have strong and weak female characters? And then, then it's going to be
Yeah.
another thing,
We should
Until
have
we own
every
the
type
space.
of female character.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah, we should.
Actually,
Exactly.
I've thought of my favorite villain, the Great Intelligence.
Oh, Ian McClellan.
Yes.
Had you known that the Great Intelligence had been in previous Doctor Who episodes?
I did not know that it had been.
How about you? Did you have a villain that you loved, to hate? Not
No,
one that you
not
thought
that I
sucked?
love to hate. No, I mean, the Time Lords I would have liked a little bit more context in terms of them being jackasses.
Hmm.
But I just would have liked more because I definitely think it was interesting coming in so blind, the idea that his race was actually full of jerks and he's like the one.
When people
Good
who,
guy.
like me, who really didn't come into it until after Christopher Eccleston, basically Christopher Eccleston was the regeneration right after the Doctor that locked them all in that time thing that they were trying to break out with during the end of time.
Mm-hmm.
So those of us who started at Christopher Eccleston, I really felt lost too. The only other Time Lord we had met was the Master, and so it did kind of spark an interest in me to go back and look at classic episodes where he interacted with other Time Lords, because he doesn't at all except for the Master in this series.
Yeah. And the Master's not a solid example of anything in terms of Time Lords. He's just... Although I did find that when he said, "You made me like this," I was like, okay, I get it.
Yeah,
You know.
the other episode's really important. You can go back. The lead-in episodes now.
What helped?
Yeah, what helped? How about
love to hate any of the villains. They were all just pretty toss away for me.
I mean, I always enjoy Cybermen stories, but even the Cybermen story was kind of like,
Yes, I like
it
that.
wasn't a very good Cyberman story.
So we should then jump into Sarah. Let's start with you. What was your favorite of the episodes available to you, and which one was your least favorite?
That's the same question as which of my cats is the favorite.
Right. No, I asked you to rank them, and we
Rank
decided
them
we
1
weren't
through
going to do that.
You
We
said
were
you
just going
knew-
to give you your top and your bottom.
I don't. Well, that's my problem. My top is a tie between all of them except Voyage of the Damned and The Runaway Bride.
So those are your 2 least favorites.
Those are my 2 least favorites. The rest
Okay.
are all my favorites.
Do you realize that's like
Okay.
a 6-way or 7-way tie?
Yes, apparently. She doesn't like to judge. She's not a judgy girl.
I like, and even the ones that I don't like, I love, because I really loved Donna as a companion, and I loved that episode of her. And when I went into episode 2 of season 3, I was sad that Donna didn't come back. And then when she came back in season 4 or whatever season she came back in, I was like, yay, it's Donna, because I loved her in Runaway Bride. But I just hated that fucking spider lady with the headgear.
Sure. So,
So-
I mean, I have similar issues, but I
Yeah.
can force myself to rank.
I can't.
Bree, did you rank? Did you participate
Yes.
in the
I ranked them
exercise?
all, but I will only tell you my favorite and my least favorite. My favorite was A Christmas
You can't give
Carol.
us all of them.
Well, okay, my
Yeah, give us
favorite.
your
You go.
ranking.
Give
Yeah.
us your ranking.
Number 1, A Christmas Carol. Number 2, The Runaway Bride, because Donna is the best companion. Number 3, The Snowman, because I like. It was well written. You could tell the Doctor was in a very specific place in his timeline.
Yes.
Number 4, Voyage of the Damned. 5, The Doctor, the Widow, and the Wardrobe. 6, The Christmas Invasion. 7, The Next Doctor, and 8, The End of Time.
Interesting. Would you like to go next, ma'am?
Sure. Okay. So my top is A Christmas Carol. That was just a really solid, just Christmas story. That's just
Yeah.
a straight up Christmas story.
And everybody
Yes.
lives.
Yes.
Except for the one lady, but she still, has a good time.
yeah.
She still has a
Really
good
different from
time.
everybody else's.
She has a happily ever after, kind of. Number 2 is The Runaway Bride, because Donna. Number 3 is The End of Time, parts 1 and 2. I put them together.
Yeah, that's fine. I'll put mine together too.
Number 4 is The Doctor, the Widow, and the Wardrobe. Number 5 is The Snowman. Number 6 is The Next Doctor. 7 is The Christmas Invasion. And my least favorite is Voyage of the Damned.
All right. So for me, I love The Next Doctor. It's my favorite. Then I like The Doctor, The Widow and the Wardrobe. Then The Runaway Bride, A Christmas Carol, End of Time, Part 1 and Part 2, Voyage to the Damned, Snowmen, and my least favorite is The Christmas Invasion because Rose is a whiny bitch.
She is.
She
like,
is.
Okay, I love.
Oh my god.
I am a big fan of Rose Tyler. That is like the most aggravating Rose Tyler I've ever
Oh,
seen.
and
I
The
hear
Doctor
so much.
regenerated. What am I gonna do?
And then, we're gonna go off together. Oh, I'm so excited.
Whereas
At
2
the end,
seconds
I'm
ago
just
she
like,
was
"Oh."
leaning on Mickey, he's like, you really love him, don't you? And then she leans on Mickey, and I'm like, dude, get out of there.
She's got you on the hook.
Well, there's definitely
Yeah.
a lot of whininess in that family. Just Jackie was insufferable. She's always kind of like, oh, I could do
She's
without
always
her.
been entertaining to me.
But
though.
when
She
the
entertains me,
doctor
too.
was trying to tell her what he needed, and she was like, "Is it this? Is it this? Is it this?" I'm just like, "Shut up, woman!"
Hey
Let him
man,
talk.
if she
Who's
hadn't
up
been
first?
if she hadn't been stupid, then he never would have woken up.
Yeah.
So favorite Christmas Carol. Second favorite, The Doctor, the Widow, and the Wardrobe. Pretty much because of everything that Sarah said earlier about just his behavior. It was just so fun. I really liked it, and I liked how the kid Cyril looked like the kid, from a Christmas Carol.
Or no, Christmas Story.
A Christmas Story,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
Yes,
He
he
does
looked
look
like
like
the kid
Ralphie.
from
The
Ralphie
big
from A
glasses,
Christmas Story,
yeah.
yeah, so that just cracked me up.
That's what that.
They were
I-
amazing.
I thank you for saying that because it's been like it's been bothering me. What does that kid remind me of? And that's
A
exactly
Christmas
it.
Story, yeah, totally.
Ralphie.
My third favorite is the snowman. I liked Clara. I mean, I thought that they really, really laid it on thick, this notion of them being equal and her being, like, just on the same page as them.
Plucky. Gosh, and she's so smart.
So
and,
smart, so
and
plucky.
she's cute,
So
and she's
clever.
going to plant the kiss on him, and she's
I'm-
so clever.
I'm not
Everybody
against-
wants
I'm not against her being cute or clever, but it was laid on super thick. It was just, like, all in one bouncy little... I don't even know.
You have a gentleman friend?
I know.
Jump off a bridge.
I know. I was like,
Yeah.
really, man?
Was that the one where she goes in and says, it's smaller on the
Yes.
outside?
Yeah, I did like
That
that.
killed me.
I liked that she...
No, and for me, I
made
was
you
just
mad?
like...
No, I loved it.
I loved
It
it,
was
too.
an overplay for me. I was just like, oh, she's the special companion who's
Yeah.
going to be smarter. And I was just like, ugh, I'm bored already. I can now imagine everything that's going to play out with her character. I'm bored already.
Oh.
Bummer. And then they recast her, which sounds like not good. My fourth was Runaway Bride because Donna. Yes, she was. Well, I guess we'll talk
She
about her later.
sasses sassily.
She sasses sassily, and
Donna.
she's just such the anti female character
I love Donna.
I love
Boy.
her.
in a good way.
Boy.
In an absolutely good way.
Yeah.
I wrote down, who gets married on Christmas Eve? Oh,
Yeah.
Donna does.
Donna does. get married.
And she's never around for all of the drama that happens on Christmas, ever. Fifth was End of Time Part 1 and 2. 6 was The Christmas Invasion. 7, Voyage of the Damned. That was just an awkward episode, as much as I liked their Titanic references. And 8 was The Next Doctor, where I felt like I could have ripped my eyes out. I do not know why.
That's fine. So
Just didn't
with
like
the with the Voyage of the Damned, what's the Poseidon Adventure?
Yes.
That's what it reminds
the
me the
one.
most of. Is the Poseidon Adventure.
It is very much like the Poseidon Adventure,
Yeah.
actually.
I think is Astrid at least of these episodes anyway. Astrid asks to go with him. The doctor doesn't ask her, and isn't it more typical with these doctors that they ask the companion to come? He asks Rose. He asks Donna. He asks Amy's sort of
Does
a
he
special
ask
case.
Martha, or do they just kind of start traveling together?
I
That
could
just
swear that
kinda-
he asks Martha.
Does he ask
Does he?
I can't remember.
I try
But I
to
liked
forget
that
as much
Astrid
about it as
asked
possible.
him
Oh, me too.
to
She
go.
should never have asked.
She should have never asked, but I like that she did.
Actually, no, she would have died either way. At least this way she died heroically.
This is true.
I don't know.
This
It's
is
just
true.
that whole. I can't even pay attention to that episode. I just
Really?
can't. I have tried to watch it many times, and every time it's 15 minutes in, I'm like, hey, I could put some dishes away.
I have to say, from a set and production design perspective, I thought that was the better of the Davies and Tennant episodes. They definitely did well in terms of selling the special effects and even the ship itself, and this idea that a bunch of rich people, I mean, that felt like a commentary on class. Certainly that whole
Yeah.
episode was a
Yes,
commentary on
yes.
class, but their ensemble was very kooky and ham-fisted.
Yes, I thought
playing
so too.
all of
Yeah.
Yeah, which is why it felt so
Stereotypes, yeah.
Poseidon Adventure
Matt
to
kept
me.
walking in and saying, that guy's gonna die. That lady's definitely gonna die.
They're all gonna die.
And I
That was,
didn't
like,
know
the whole
that, and I
point.
was like
Yeah.
mad that all these people were dying.
And then
Oh.
he goes, who's that? I'm like, that's Kylie Minogue. He's like, the singer? Oh, she's not gonna die. She's gonna be the one person that survives.
Oh.
Generally, he would have been right.
But he
I was
doesn't
like, are
watch
you
Doctor
serious?
Who a lot, does he?
Do people just die indiscriminately on that show?
Sometimes.
Well,
Yeah. Well, everybody dies.
Well, there's that
That's Doctor
joke
Who.
where
yeah, basically.
Joss Whedon, Mark Gatiss, and Stephen
Stephen
Moffat
Moffat.
walk into a bar and everybody you've ever loved dies.
That's a great joke.
Now we need to move to Megan because she requested to talk about a topic that gets her in the feels, as she put it, and I don't think we've gotten there yet. So I'll just outright ask you,
Well, it's
what's
something-
it all about?
Well, it's something that I feel like they kind of touch on in all of these Christmas specials. Is I get the impression that the Doctor feels like he's not entitled to celebrating Christmas because he has a hard time accepting people's invitations to join them for Christmas dinner. And we're talking about companions who he is as close with as Rory and Amy. Two of the companions that I think you could argue he spends the most personal time with out of anybody. At least on the series, and he
Well,
still
their
has
family,
their
right?
family.
Their
And he
family.
still has a hard time accepting their invitation to Christmas dinner. because it's like one step too close to people.
I was watching for that. That was something else that I remembered from seeing, that I remembered from watching them the first couple of times around. So when I went back to actually study these episodes, I paid attention, and just like with everything else, it seemed really back and forth. In the first episode, the Christmas invasion, he's all like, yay, happy. And then in
some figgy pudding.
yeah, like, and there's the whole like montage of like everybody feeding each other, happy times around the table. And then there are a couple where he gets invited. I don't remember specifically which ones, but there are a couple where he gets invited and he just plays the whole like, no, I can't. No, I can't. But then in A Christmas Carol, he's the one that gets invited into the house, and it brings Abigail and Kazran back inside to be with Abigail's family. And then they do the whole thing where they're popping open the little hats and the little toy things, and it's Happy Christmas, and there's no protest from him at all in that situation.
Yeah.
Though that entire episode was a means to an end, right?
But
That entire episode was he was trying to change Kazran. So
Right.
Yeah,
maybe
and I
he
think
was.
in that instance, he's not there as a guest. He's there as someone, as a guest of a guest, if that makes any sense. He has no emotional attachment to that Christmas celebration other than he's going in to have fun and to benefit somebody else. But when he is genuinely asked by somebody who has a legitimate emotional reason for why they want the doctor to be a part of their Christmas dinner as opposed to just being polite, he pulls away.
I think that's because it might put people he cares about on a timeline. And it might make them more mortal to him because, like, oh, you like this is a special time of year for you. You don't just travel indefinitely, and
you have a life. You have an actual life.
I feel like that he does this with companions too, and the times when he's alone because he doesn't want to get close to somebody because he lost somebody. I think that he just yo-yos back and forth like, yay, come be my companion, and then, I can't, I need to travel alone.
Well, like the whole, sorry.
I was just wondering, Brie, could you explain, you said it might put them on the timeline? Is it every experience he has with them is a risk of some kind, or what did you mean by?
Well, more so...
It marks the passage of time.
It marks the passage of time with them. Like at one point, again, we're getting outside of the specials, but
it's context for the
contextually, he notices at one point that Amy and Rory are getting older, and
that's
it deeply affects him.
Yeah.
So celebrating holidays marks the passage of time. So my theory is he doesn't want to mark the passage of time with people. He just wants fun times to go on forever. Like we just travel, and this is what we do forever.
Right. When River says never let him see you age.
Yeah.
Right. And Angels Take Manhattan. I think it was you, Cassie, who had brought up the topic of facing fears.
Yes.
That was you. Yeah. So tell us a little bit more about that.
Well, that was first established. I felt like that was most established or best established in A Christmas Carol.
We're at 120.
Kazran.
It's more like 110. Sorry.
It's okay. I just want to make sure.
We're good. Just keep talking.
All right. Kazran was, he was afraid, but he wanted to face his fears, and so a lot of the things that made Kazran, as an old man, the bitter jerk that he was because of he didn't experience life the way he wanted to. It seemed like there were a couple of instances, and obviously with his father. So I just thought that was an interesting, especially that moment with the shark.
Well,
the awkward shot.
I think one of the most poignant things about that episode is picking the day. What day would you pick? What day would you pick for your love to die?
Yeah.
I mean, bam.
Yeah.
You want to talk about getting punched in the feels, man? There you go.
And that's almost like one of the ultimate sacrifices. I feel like that, and with what's her name in The Snowman. A lot of sacrifice. A lot of those are the necessary deaths, if you can call something that, in the sense that it's for the greater good. So, yeah.
But come on, he's the doctor. He could have taken that girl somewhere and gotten her healed. He knows where the best doctors in the universe and all time are.
The Kitty Hospital.
If he had known what was going on.
Her family sold her into freezitude. to
As security on a loan.
Yes, as security on a loan.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was talking about Clara.
Oh.
I was talking about
yeah.
Clara.
No,
We were all like, whoa.
Sorry, I
I have
jumped.
no idea what's going
Clara-
on.
You are digging into something you do not yet know about.
Yeah.
You don't even know.
It will
don't
be
even know.
explained.
We don't even know.
Don't even
So
know.
that's
Yeah,
what I was-
none of us know yet.
Yeah, with Clara. So I was like,
They explained
They
it.
I
explained
figured
it.
they must have revisited
I
it.
must have not seen
They
that
explained
episode. Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I haven't seen that episode.
Oh.
Yeah, that's
you should
just
probably
to-
watch that.
Just to clarify, yeah,
Probably.
that
Indeed.
I can
So-
only go by what they showed. One last being plopped in the middle of storylines complaints. One of the last ones is, I'm hoping it's the last one. Donna, I'm introduced to Donna, and then I realize, oh, she's not going to be a companion because of the little preview for the following season.
Right.
And then the next time I see Donna, she's a mess. Her brain is gone.
Oh!
Like, all of that stuff.
Like, I'm like, what
That's why those
the
were my
actual
least favorite.
F is going on?
Yeah. So
Oh.
I will tell you.
is that?
Yeah.
You know, she's gone for the market.
The forgettable one.
Forgettable one.
Poor Martha.
Hey man, if her no, I'm not gonna say it. I was gonna say if her performance had resonated, she
But
wouldn't be forgettable.
yeah, there's a lot that happens with Donna. Well, and it's like everyone that we watched. So the transition between Eccleston and Tennant. So
Yes.
Eccleston has just left,
Mm-hmm.
and then in the Runaway Bride, Rose is no longer a companion. That just happened.
Yes.
And then in the Voyage of the Damned, he just lost. Was it Martha that he had just lost?
Yes.
So Martha's just left.
Mm-hmm.
Could you really call it losing her?
Oh,
Well,
yeah.
she left.
Yeah,
She lost
Like,
him.
Yeah.
She
Um,
lost him.
But I love what happened. Just the little vignette of her and Mickey in End of the World
did like
Part
that.
2.
Yeah.
The two of
I
them
felt
were
like they
the
were
two were
perfect.
companions.
I know.
And they were all like
Tell it how it is, Bree.
toughened up and badass and together.
Had he not showed up to say goodbye, they would have died.
Point.
Yes.
True.
It's true.
They would have
been
been
murdered.
obliterated.
Yes.
That's
Uh,
another thing too that you missed is that there's quite a bit more character development on Mickey by the time in between those two
I
episodes,
didn't even
and he
recognize him.
does turn into a
He's
Because he
badass.
got rid of the
Different.
terrible haircut.
Yeah.
And beefed up.
And
To
beef.
Sarah's
Mhm.
point, yeah.
The next Doctor.
The next Doctor, that was right after Donna. No. Yes.
Yeah.
That was right after Donna. And then the End of Time
Right,
was
that's when
also
he
like
exits,
more of the
yeah.
fallout from Donna, and it's also when he exits.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
there was that whole year where they only had a couple of specials.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was the waters
The
of
Waters
Waters of
Mars.
Mars
and
and the
the
one.
other one, Planet of the Dead.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which I
Is that
will
right?
see
Yeah.
since you mentioned it. The Waters is a fall special. I will watch it later.
There's
yeah.
less of that going on in the Moffat episodes, but in A Christmas Carol, we've just had Rory and Amy get married, obviously, because they're on their honeymoon. I don't think anything's going on. Had they left after the Doctor, the Witch, and the Wardrobe? They had to have still been around.
He was
I think
really
they left
happy.
For a
That was
while.
like
They lived at
it was at
home
a
quite
point
a bit.
where
yeah.
he was picking him up and dropping him off at random.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Was that like their vacation? Like they're on sabbatical? He's just like, oh, let me take you. Or was it just.
Like, he would just randomly show up and they'd be like, yeah, sure, nobody's going to notice if we're gone because we'll be back immediately.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
So they'd go out for a couple months and then come back
Okay.
maybe the day that they left.
He definitely seemed the happiest of the three in that episode.
And yeah, and I think that's actually kind of a normal period. But then in the Snowmen, we're in firm companion switcheroo territory.
Yes.
Yeah.
And he was really mad.
Well,
very
he,
Yeah.
He has
losing
many reasons. To be
yeah,
mad.
he was. Is a devastating end to a season.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so
Ugh.
he's just like, I'm going to go live in the
Bawling.
1800s.
I'm gonna go live on a cloud
Yes.
with the Victorian.
Oh, I'm
era
sorry,
crew.
1700s.
And he's not,
so.
and he wanted to shut everybody out and didn't want to help people. He was in one of his dark phases.
He was very dark.
He's
Um,
I
been
like him.
alive for
Around
how
1800s.
many hundreds of
Was it
years, and he
1800s?
doesn't
Yeah,
just
I think
think like this
it's
too
yeah,
shall
1800s.
pass.
No,
he
he's a
doesn't, 'cause
doctor.
He's an immature little brat that we all love.
Don't you call him a brat?
Pouty face.
He's a brat.
No, he's not.
Shall we move on? Yes.
I'm not going to defend him over 3 episodes.
I know, right? So, anything else
There
before we
might be
move on?
one thing.
That you want to talk about?
Oh, okay. I know we all like the Doctor Who Went to the Wardrobe. That one had so many plot holes.
I actually didn't like it that much.
So
It
many
ranked pretty
potholes.
low for me.
So
I liked
he
it.
he runs into Mom, and with his backwards space helmet. 3 years later, the children haven't aged a day.
Yes, I
but
noticed.
it's been 3 years.
Yeah, that was a bad decision on
And
my
then
part.
after the plane lands safely, the co-pilot had literally just said, "Smith isn't doing so well," or whoever that guy was. They went, "Did he die? Did he get to
Nobody
hospital?
cared because
Nobody
the dad
cared.
was
What
alive.
happened
The dad came
What
back.
happened to the co-pilot? Where did they go?"
Nobody cares.
Nobody
They
cares.
did not seem at all concerned with the other people on that plane.
No.
He has no connection to the doctor, so nobody cares.
Nobody
and the doctor
cares.
doesn't care,
Yeah,
certainly.
no.
No, that one made me cry. And I love the comic relief in the middle there of the people from the company that
Yes.
were bringing the Black Rain.
They
and-
were funny.
And she's
Even
like,
though
I'm
they-
standing up for this woman as
Oh,
as a
yeah.
mom.
I
I'm
thought that
putting
was
my gun
funny.
down.
It was funny because they were hilarious, and then but as I was like, they're about to commit genocide.
Yeah, I know. Right? Yes, welcome to Doctor Who.
I
so
felt like
conflicted.
I felt like the doctor was just like, "Here, little girl, come. I'll help you through this weird portal so that we can go look for your brother." And didn't even bother to tell the mom.
No.
Like,
I know.
this is why
Again.
permission slips were created. Like, we're going on a field trip, Mom, to this other planet where Christmas trees grow their own ornaments. BRB.
Oh, one plot hole to play off of yours
Yeah.
is, if things had gone as planned, how was he going to save their father? It's
He
only
had-
because
he
they were
wasn't
on.
planning on it.
Yeah, well, I thought that's what he was planning.
He
was
wasn't
gonna.
planning on that at all.
I thought it
don't think.
was. That
I'm
was
pretty
part of his
sure at
plan.
that point he was just like, oh, their dad is dead.
Yeah.
I
Let's-
gotta make this better somehow.
let's go to a
So I'm gonna
forest.
make these fun rooms for the kids.
Yeah.
Lemonade on
no,
its
but
own
the
tap.
box.
Yeah.
No, like had they? I mean, I didn't understand.
I don't think that was part of his plan.
How is
at
that
all.
not part of his plan? The timing worked. He acted like it was part of his
Welcome
plan.
to Doctor Who.
Doctor Who.
Displeased.
Sorry. It just happens that way.
And everybody lives happily ever after, unless they don't.
Unless they die.
All right.
Yeah. So I think we're all curious to know, because you've liked some things and definitely didn't like some things, although it was an odd introduction. Do you think you'll go back and watch any of the seasons, or
If I'm gonna watch anything, it'll be Matt Smith's version.
you'll start with Matt Smith and
Yeah.
go from there?
I'll go.
Self-contained.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think that's a good place to start. I think you either want to start with Matt Smith or with
Eccleston.
Eccleston.
Yeah, I'll start with Matt Smith, where I like the portrayal and the writing.
If you're going to start with Matt Smith, don't start with his first episode. Start with Silence in the Library. It's one of the last Tennant episodes where they introduce River Song.
Yeah, it is worth watching that.
They introduced
Well, I
River
mean, it's
Song
a
that early?
effing good episode.
Yeah.
Wow.
Ball crying,
You need to see
cried.
that because it introduces an important character.
Wow, they
for
did that
throughout
early.
Years.
Yeah.
And you should watch Don't Blink because it's
Oh,
a
it's
standalone-
very good in
iconic.
itself
It's just
contained.
It's just Blink. You're right.
Yeah.
You should just watch Blink. It's a standalone. It's just an
Yeah.
excellent episode.
Yeah.
Talk about
And if you like
non-companion
Moffat, it's another
companions.
Moffat
Yes.
written.
I wanted her
Sally
to be a companion.
Sparrow.
Yeah, Sally
Yeah.
Sparrow.
And based on everything that I've heard, just from Doctor Who lovers, I think I'm gonna like River Song. Plus, I liked the actress when she was on ER.
Yeah.
So
Alex
Nobody
Vincent.
doesn't love River Song.
Right?
She's
Yeah.
just awesome. And Alexis Kingston, yes.
Yeah, she's awesome.
Any excuse
Yeah.
for her to be on camera, let's give that lady screen time. She is awesome.
Cool.
She was one of the best things about ER. I loved her
She's
on
good.
the show.
All right. To the drinking game rules, ladies.
My first drinking game rule is take a drink anytime there is snow that is not snow.
That's a good one.
Ooh,
I
Especially
tried
for
to
the
come
first
up with a
three.
snow one.
that's a creepy one.
gross.
There's the ashes from the
Yes.
ship that
yeah.
Harriet Jones destroyed. There's the ashes from the ballast of the Titanic.
Yep.
And then there's Did any of
And
you
by
watch
ashes-
Atmospheric excitation was when he was with Donna.
When he made it
Yeah.
snow.
Yeah.
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 Did
And by ashes, we mean like dead people. Just
Yeah,
to be
you know,
clear.
just-
Just to be clear.
charred guts and stuff. Did
Lovely.
anybody watch any of the trailers or the intro
I
for the
did-
Matt Smith?
I did.
I had seen
I
the
watched
one
both
to
of
the
them.
snowman.
Because there is a line when Madame Vostra says, "That's not snow," because she's pointing out, I don't know if she says specifically that, but Jenny was like, "Oh, look, it's snowing," and she's like, "There are no clouds in the sky, that can't be snow." So that still counts. You can go watch that and have a drink, a gratuitous drink.
Plus,
It was manipulated
2-minute
snow.
drink,
plus sidebar, all of them are awesome.
Oh my gosh, they need to
Vastra,
have their own
Jenny,
spin-off.
Oh,
Strax,
they-
yeah. Can we have a spin-off, please?
Yes.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Yes,
Who
please.
does not want to watch a show about a lesbian lizard woman?
From the dawn
From
of
the
time.
dawn of time, the way
And
she
her
introduced
wife.
herself.
And her wife.
Yes, and her wife.
Lesbian lizard lady.
The potato
Yes.
guy, the
I
potato
am
guy.
offended
Potato
by
one.
your implication of impropriety. We
And
are
pretending
married.
We're married. Yeah, that's right.
So mine is you have to take a shot every time the doctor's mood seems to change on a dime. Turn on a dime.
Fair enough.
I say take a drink whenever the doctor says allons-y or Geronimo.
You stole mine. But except every time the doctor says Alonzi, you have to shout Alonzi Alonzo and take a
well,
shot.
you do.
Nice. Nice addition. I like it.
I like
Because I liked Alonzo.
Alonzo was awesome.
He's in the history
Every
boys.
time he breaks one of his own rules, take a drink. So you're just going to be drinking through the whole thing.
So I have another drinking through the whole thing one, which might have to be retracted. That if the doctor is running, you have to be drinking.
Oh my
Yes.
God.
I love that.
Run for your life. You will never stop drinking.
And then you get to the end of time and you're like, oh shit.
Oh my
Man, he
gosh.
sprints a lot.
Yes, he does.
Well, you can tell David Tennant's fit.
In the waters of Mars, there's like the central habitat and then like all these pods, and he just makes a joke about like how far he has to run every time he needs to get from here to there. And then in the extras for the season with John Barrowman, like the two of them have so much chemistry. Those are other like another David Tennant arc that I think that you would enjoy because John Barrowman is
He's
just
just brilliant.
their
good.
chemistry is so much better than with Christopher
John
Eccleston.
Barrowman does not have a person on the planet that he doesn't have like extreme chemistry with.
That's
Yeah.
true.
How does
He
he
is
do
skilled.
that?
He had chemistry
He's
with you,
Jack
right?
Harkness.
He had chemistry with you, and you guys had your pictures taken together,
did.
right?
Yeah.
Right?
That's on my nightstand or on my dresser, and I see it every day.
Yeah, he's a very charismatic individual.
But they would like race each other. Like they would go back and like reshoot like the running scenes where they had to run together and then like race each other and get super competitive, and it was
That
adorable.
sounds fun. Nice.
All
You
right.
have Sarah? You
Another
I don't
rule.
think you're
I already said drink every time there's an interracial couple.
right.
They
Should it be something with Kahlua?
a half and half.
There you go. Bree, what you got?
That was pretty much all I have. I actually
What?
don't have drinking game rules for once.
What?
I wouldn't really drink.
Who are you?
I wouldn't like drink through these episodes other than being like, I am drinking through these episodes.
Yeah, they were definitely, I felt like you guys popped me into some weaker
We did, and I didn't
situations.
even realize it until I was watching it. I was like,
No.
oh, we did
Yeah.
something mean to her.
I was
in the
like,
spirit of Christmas.
I was questioning the sanity of like 18 million people.
I
like,
don't
what
blame
the hell?
Watching the first episode of Doctor Who, if you ever watch the first episode of the reboot, you're gonna wonder how that show ever got picked up.
I watched that episode. I was like, I'm hooked.
Yeah, I did too.
That sounds like Megan though.
Like Mickey's hairline comes down to his eyebrows, his hands get stuck to like this cheap
I was
metal
just
special effects thing.
This is the England I remember.
Awesome.
All right, well I have one. I have a rule.
Yeah.
Oh, you want to
Go
go?
for it. Now go.
When the doctor jokes about having a plan, take a drink, or not having a
Or not
plan.
having a plan. I have
Which
a
ends up
shot
being a
for
plan.
a shot for any kiss, and finish your drink for a hug.
Aw.
Why are hugs rare? Or do they make you want to cry?
All of the above.
Take a drink if a character is talking so fast you're not sure what they're saying, but you know everyone's gonna roll with it anyway.
Nice.
Anytime Matt Smith summarizes an absurd situation, then ends it with "pay attention."
Yes.
Take a shot.
Or any of his other witty little Matt Smithisms.
So apparently, because you're going to need it for Voyage of the Damned,
Yep.
the people in your group have to attempt to say baklava.
Banakafalata.
Yes.
Banakafalata.
Blah, 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 blah.
I have it spelled there, and I can't even.
baklava.
Whatever.
That is clearly Banakafalata.
Oh, there you go.
Clearly.
Clearly.
Banakafalata.
And
He
if,
drove me crazy.
Yeah.
if they get it wrong, they have to take a shot.
His green cousins drove me crazy too.
The cacti. That's
Oh,
racist.
Yeah, the cacti. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think going back to the conversation about marginalizing groups of people, I felt like yet again that episode Voyage of the Dam marginalized little people by assigning Banakafalata that really teeny little voice. I just felt that was so
Yep.
But,
What if
but
that's just his
that-
voice?
well, it could have been his voice. Then somebody may not have assigned it to him. The actor may have made the choice that that's what they wanted to do. You don't know.
Is that a
Well,
is that a human voice?
No, I felt like
I feel
it was,
terrible if it is.
They post production.
It
Yeah.
definitely felt like there was post production, and it felt deliberate. But I mean,
Okay.
didn't-
My final drinking game rule is anytime the doctor gives the bad guy a choice, like, okay, I know you've been really bad up until now, but just be good. Or else.
I love how he constantly has calm conversations with these like extreme murderers. He's like, so why are you behaving this way? Oh,
Yeah.
tell me more about that.
And you're kind of like, that's kind of a good way to treat these situations, but it's not going to work. They've already gone this long and this deep into their plan. They're not just going to change their mind because you asked nicely.
Yeah, but
It's
that's
his
all,
attempt
That's
to-
all. That's his psychosis, right?
That's his thing. He gives them a
Yeah.
choice, and then they choose their fate, so
Because
he
he-
doesn't have to feel bad.
and then he
But
needs to
spoiler,
go.
because he,
Spoiler.
kills all the Alex, right? So he's,
Oh, he killed one of the campiest aliens I've ever seen in my life.
Yes.
Uh-oh, now people are gonna kill me. I know people love the Daleks.
Oh, I hate
Oh,
them.
I love the
They're
Daleks.
terrible.
I love the
They look
Daleks.
really
They're
nice.
Terra. They're Terra awesome.
Terra
Yes.
awesome.
I love the Daleks.
They killed them all? Spoiler alert.
That's not
Spoiler
really a
alert.
spoiler.
I didn't know
No,
it.
you know that
It's not
going
really-
in.
You know that
I didn't
right
know.
from the get-go.
Well, like, I think even part of the contract is that they have to show up in
If
every
you've never
season.
seen any
yeah.
of the
That's part of the
episodes before, it's a spoiler.
Something like that. So
Like an unspoiled-
they're never gonna go
They're
away.
never going away.
No.
Take a drink whenever Donna sasses Sassily.
Take a drink anytime a character says Doctor Who?
It happens a lot in the Christmas specials.
Yes, it
Yeah,
did.
it does.
Doctor,
Yeah,
and
well,
then
you
they
should-
cut to the credits.
You have to do the
Smash cut.
You have
Smash
to do
cut.
the shot for it's bigger on the inside, obviously.
Oh, good call.
Yeah.
And you have to drink a fifth of tequila when fucking Clara says, "Oh, it's smaller on the inside."
It's small on the outside, and I like that she said that because it was different.
I loved it.
Ugh.
It was
Hater.
awkward,
Yeah.
but
If
it
Donna had
was
said it, you'd love it.
adorable.
Except she wouldn't have.
She might have. Donna's different and offbeat.
She would have said, "What's wrong with this box?"
Yeah, she said, "Listen," she would have been like, "What is this fucking box? I'm not going to get in your blue box."
This
spaceman.
Spaceman.
Mate,
Yes.
you're not made with me, space boy.
Yeah.
I love Donna. Take a drink whenever you see the TARDIS.
Are you trying to
Oh my
kill
God.
us?
Of water?
Yes,
A
absolutely.
nice
That needs to
square
be
glass
your
of blue
hydrator.
water, yeah.
Yes.
Your hydrator.
Fancy glasses
Of
just for that.
Curacao.
And I'm
Blue
okay. So
Curacao.
I'm surprised that none of us commented on the, again, for me, the overplay ending for Matt Smith when he's crying because he's happy and he has to wipe the itty bitty
Gross,
tiny
let's
tear
pretend.
from his.
No.
For me, that was overkill.
Yeah, I didn't feel it.
Yeah, I didn't feel it.
I was like, oh, he doesn't cry. Although I did like when he said the episode that it was that episode when he said, "Crying when you're happy, how very human of you."
Yeah.
I did like when he said that,
Yeah.
Yeah,
And then
I
he
really
does it
like
at the end.
and then he does it at
It
the
was
end.
the big payoff.
I
was
think
the-
him just saying it was a no.
Yeah, I'm with you there. But that's a nice segue to my final drinking game rule.
Mm.
Take a shot if you're crying.
So what do you do if somebody in your watching group is crying? Because if you're going to watch any of these with me,
I think whoever is crying needs to take a drink.
Alice will be
I'll
drunk.
be drunk.
People not crying can pass her a tissue.
Pass me a tissue. Pass me a vomit
The box.
bowl.
Oh my god. Is that what happens when you cry?
No, but I'll be so fucking drunk because I'm a crier. I cry a lot.
I was like,
things.
what is going on? No, it's fair.
Cried.
One of these days I'll see you cry.
Is that a
Well.
promise?
Yes, she's
Is that
been
a
saying
threat?
that since like episode
Yes.
1 of Educating Geeks. I want to see Alice cry.
That'll happen.
Alice is a very kick-ass individual, so when she's talking about how, like, obviously this is the dynamic of Alice. Alice will kick your ass, but if you do something that makes her cry, she's going to cry, and I have not seen her cry yet. I also haven't had my ass kicked either, but but knowing that there are those two sides of Alice, please me to know it.
I'll kick your ass. I'm
I'm sorry.
I'm so sad Cassie's in the hospital. I fucking put her there.
Exactly.
She deserved it.
She had it coming.
Fun of me.
Thank you. By posting, each Geek host is going to pick their favorite episode from season 1, and we're going to post those every Friday in January. And then we're going to start off season 2 with our